In a country where the minimum wage is just 70,000 naira, but the houses in the capital city are skyrocketing, and apartments range from 1 million to 2 million. The question is, who are the people paying this rent and how are they coping? The conversation on the street today is housing prices in Abuja and the coping mechanism. We hear opinions from the street.
First of all, the reason is because simple economics has it that when the demand for something is very, very much and the supply is not as much as the demand, then of course the prices will go up. You know, in Abuja, for instance, in this place, it's supposed to be a satellite town. The influx of people into this area is so tremendous. And the houses there are not really enough.
As a tenant, it's been a great increase from where I came in initially. When I came in, the flat I took was around 500,000, but as we speak now, it has gone more than 400%. We're looking at about 2 million to 2.5 million.
My day is not fair because this year now I'm making 3 times and my landlord is increasing my rent. Last year was 170,000 naira. Recently, this year is 210 now I'm paying now.
I know I pay 45,000 for 1 room. I understand, but they have increased it to other side to 80 to 150.
For instance, a room in this part of the town, this satellite, a room which we call a studio room that has a kitchen and a convenience, goes for as high as 700, between 700 and 1 million naira. And a 1-bedroom flat, which has a living room and a room with the convenience as well as the kitchen, goes for between 1.5 and 2 million. Then a 2-bedroom flat here, landlords ask for as much as 2.5 to 3 million. And so on and so forth for bigger houses.
In response to the minimum wage and how it aligns with the current rent, it's too exorbitant for a normal people within the minimum bracket to cope with.
It's really not fair, considering what people take, considering the value, the salary, the take-home pay that Nigerians get, and even those who work for private companies who actually earn much more than the minimum wage of 70,000, 75,000 Nigerian naira, cannot afford to pay for these things. So because they really have to make do, you see families that put money together to live in a flat that should ordinarily take 3 people. You see 6 people squeeze into the place.
I think it's a combination of the two. Government does not have enough housing units to accommodate people. So the disparity between the government houses and the private owners too actually has the same problem that necessitated them to increase this stuff. So if the government wants to come in now, they can have their own units and people can make a choice. But currently now we have more private than the one that is government.
Nigeria has a deficit of 21 million houses. So if the federal government can build 21 million houses, then it will affect the price downward. Sometimes some greedy agents, they have a certain percentage that they collect in the event they bring clients or someone who rents the house from the landlord. They take 5%. Now they've increased it to 10% because almost everything over the years has gone up. So they take 10% as against 5% they take before. But yes, it still affects them. It still affects agents. It still affects us because the patronage is low. So if 3 years ago, you could rent out 4 or 5 houses or sell 4 or 5 houses, you get more money than now that in a week, you might just be able to rent 1 house. And secondly, it's difficult again because the lawyers have decided to double, they've left litigation and have started doubling into agency because the money is more. So they'll say, I'm the lawyer. The lawyer will ask the tenant to pay a percentage. And when he pays that percentage, he might not have anything again.
At least let them help us cover risk. At least let them help us increase our minimum wages. Because when I'm working, how much are they paying me? And the expenses are collecting the whole money. Every day may end up holding some people money because you don't meet up for many things.
So what people do is that they move outskirts, they move further down, further inside, perhaps towards the border states, you know, like Nasarawa State, like Ogun State, to live because you can't live close to town.
Tenants don't have any choice than to get a affordable rent to get. So now we are even extending to Jikwe, which is a neighboring place from here too. But I think that one too now, the price difference is not much. So government has to do a lot to actually help us to see how we can get out of this situation.
where we bring you the most recent stories shaping Nigeria and the world at large. I am Halima Abdulrauf. Over the next 3 hours, we'll review the biggest newspaper headlines, analyze the issues behind them, hear directly from Nigerians through our phone-in segment and street talk, discuss politics, explore what's trending online, and wrap up with all the latest from the world of sport. Whether you're preparing for work, school, or simply catching up on current affairs, we're glad you've chosen to spend your morning with us. Our newspaper review comes up after the break. Stay with us.
Should I refrain now?
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, it's still S24 Morning Digest. I am joined by a colleague to dissect top of the stories that we've got this morning on major newspapers online and offline as well. Let's start with some of the stories that are making the rounds right now. One, we paid 50 million to secure KB Judge release. That's a message from the family. Abakar, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome to this newspaper review.
Thank you so much.
You've heard one of the stories that made the headline this morning, paying 50 million naira ransom to secure a judge's release. What do you make of that?
Yeah, kidnapping for ransom has actually become a kind of like a lucrative venture, because it is obvious and clear to most Nigerians the government is yet to do a lot of things in order to cater for the needs of Nigerians. And if you really want to continue surviving, and if your family really wants to continue staying with you, I think you have to pay the ransom. Even though subsequently we saw the effort made by the government in the tackling of issue of insecurity, especially in Nigeria, where they came up with the establishment of forest guard, state police, and also increasing the Nigerian Armed Force Division from 8 to 12. And we even saw the president have been bragging, saying that the rescue of Oriri school children that were adopted in Oyo State, they did not pay a damn. So these are the kind of effort put in place by the government. But we have to remember there are still a lot of people that are out there, especially the children that were kidnapped in Askira Uba in Borno State and many part of this country. And subsequently we saw a judge from Kebbi who was kidnapped recently, and he spent 78 days with the kidnappers, and subsequently they've paid the sum of almost 50 million naira, which they were able to negotiate with them. Initially it was 20 million naira, and they were able to negotiate with them. And based on what we are seeing, it's like those kidnappers are now trying to be the new Robin Hoods we have, because Robin Hood is collecting from the rich and giving it to the poor. Now allegedly what these bandits are doing, they are actually collecting from the poor, and we don't know where they are channeling it. Is it whether they are channeling it to the rich or what? We don't know. But this is effort, and we pray he will continue.
So you mentioned something very key, saying that family members need to rally around to bring money. There are families that actually try to put money together and they didn't get their family members alive. What do we do in that situation? What are we supposed to be doing as a citizen to also curb this? Because bandits do not just fall from the sky, right? These people kidnapping did not fall from the sky. Sometimes we're complicit in the situation that we're in. What are we supposed to be doing as a people to tackle this? Besides saying government, it's government responsibility to actually protect lives and properties.
The truth of the matter, if we are to be honest with ourselves, based on the statistics we saw and based on how Nigerians are venting out their anger, you know, the government of APC came into board, that was 2015, when they accused the then government of PDP for failing to secure the life and properties of Nigerians. But we know when the government came into power, the issue of insecurity escalated, ranging from all parts of this country. Nowhere is safe. And no matter what the family members are going to do, it all boils down to what the government are doing, because the government is the alpha and omega. And if we are to be honest with ourselves, the way things are going, because poverty is the mother of all crime, no matter what the government needs to do the needful, provide the enabling environment, address the problem of insecurity, address the problem of poverty, malnutrition and illiteracy within the society. These are the kind of things that we needed from the government. Then from the family, whatever happened, no matter the level of threat you receive from those kidnappers, at least you should try and at least relate it with the security agency, relevant security authorities. Every phone call that is going on, every conversation, everything that is going on between them.
But sometimes the kidnappers actually threaten that you shouldn't inform anyone, and it makes people, the fear, the anxiety that if we call anybody and at the end of the day we're not able to secure the release of our family members or they get killed, they'll feel guilty for the rest of their lives. Sometimes you need to be bold enough in order to catch the bull by the horn. We saw how the security agencies did their own part when the sister of the former minister of power was kidnapped. Adelabu was kidnapped. At least within 3 to 4 days she was rescued. So if the government can at least have a kind of harmonious understanding between the family, between the security agencies and even the victims or even the perpetrators of that, and I believe a lot of Nigerians, the government will be able to rescue it. And I could remember the effort made by the former minister of communication, Pantami, when he was in power. He was able to at least link the NIN, national identification number, and phone number. These are all effort put by the government in order to address the problem of insecurity. Let's move on to the next paper on our list. Please be ready for Tinubu's review September 3rd. A bit of the details actually said that the Presidential Working Group on the National Policing Bill has promised to submit an executive bill to President Bola Tinubu on September 3rd as part of the ongoing effort to establish the legal and operational framework for the proposed state police across the country. The bill is ready. What do you think? Well, as we already know, I'm very, very optimistic. And I pray that those semi-gods, because many Nigerians are referring the state governors as semi-gods, because they are thinking that they are the alpha and omega and they can do and undo, they can appoint, they can also sack, and also they can also dethrone. What I mean here is if the state police see the light of the day, because ever since the bill of state police came into board, I believe as a Nigerian and as someone that is very, very paying very attention to what is going on in our dear country, Nigeria, I believe this bill is going to see the light of the day at all cost. But the fear is, whenever we see state police, if it comes to see the light of the day, there is going to be a kind of like abuse from the state governors, because these are the people that are being entrusted. Is this alleged, or well, you said there is going to be this is an allegation. This is an allegation based on the track record Nigerians have on the state governors, because based on what we see, these are the people that failed to organize a rancor-free state local government election. These are the people that are being entrusted by the wealth, the funds of a state given to them. And you will see a situation whereby pensioners are complaining about their own pension and gratitude. These are people that when they come into power, they try to at least scrap every ongoing project that is being led by their own predecessor. These are people that if they really want to make you rich today, at all costs, they will make you rich. These are people
that at all costs, if they say that you will be the next governor, you will be. These are people that failed to secure the lives of most of their people. And these are people that Nigerians are thinking that they are too confident enough to even look at you and say that we are not going to do this thing. But let us pray and embrace this thing with positivity, and let us pray that this state police is going to at least address most of the local issues that we are having in the state. But there is a question Nigerians are asking: who is going to at least give them order? Who is going to command the state commissioner of police? Because we know
if it's a state police, obviously it should be. Because of time, let's quickly touch on this story before we go. On the Daily Monitor, 2027, present your scorecard to convince Nigerians to vote for you. Momodu tells Tinubu, can Tinubu and give us the scorecard? What do you think will be in Tinubu's scorecard?
Well, maybe satisfactory.
Satisfactory.
Yeah.
Who will mark it satisfactory?
I said maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
Okay. Again, let's go to no amount of propaganda can hide Nigerians' hardship. Atiku replies presidency. Do you think there is any PR campaign and all of that that would make the hardship Nigerians are facing to look easier or simpler or go away?
Well, this is the political campaign season, and on the 19th of August, the campaign is going to officially kickstart, according to INEC. So coming out by the presidency to at least debunk what Atiku Abubakar is saying, I think it's the duty of the presidential spokesman to do that. But if we are to be honest with ourselves, this is the government that came on board when Nigerians were smiling. Now, many Nigerians cannot afford 3 square meal a day.
It even depends on where you're coming from. Some can't even afford 1 to 2 square meal a day. And finally, federal government unveils 7-week roadmap for national policing bill.
Well, it is actually linked to what we discussed earlier, because we are really afraid of what the APC government is doing. We are not going against what the APC government is doing. Rather, we are trying to at least analyze for the sake of analysis and for the sake of understanding, to understand what they are doing. But it seems like whenever they want to make a policy in this country, they used to cover everything. They are not even too transparent enough in order to open it to Nigerians. But as I said to you earlier, but this is the policy, and this is a bill that was brought into the House of Assembly, because I have never heard of any referendum. I have never heard of public hearing. We just heard them saying that they are going to ascend the bill maybe on the 3rd of September, which I pray this is going to be the kind of like end to the most of Nigerian insecurity.
Thank you so much, Abubakar, for your thoughts on most of the stories that we've reviewed this morning. Coming up next, we will be opening our phone line to hear from you. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Do you know that not all Almajiri are beggars? When many Nigerians hear the word Almajiri, a familiar image often comes to mind. Young boys walking the city streets with bowls in their hands, asking strangers for food or money. But that image tells only part of a much older story.
The term Al-Majri derived from the Arabic word Al-Muhajir, meaning a seeker who lives home in pursuit of knowledge. For centuries across what is now the northern Nigeria, this represented a respected Islamic learning tradition.
Long before modern schooling system arrived, Quranic education formed the backbone of intellectual life across the Sokoto Caliphate. Young students traveled to study under learned scholars, known locally as Malamai.
Memorizing the Quran, learning ethics, jurisprudence, literacy, and community values. Historical record shows that this system was once operated within a strong social contract.
Communities provided food, shelter, and care for students as an act of charity and collective responsibility.
Many graduates became teachers, judges, administrators, leaders, and respected religious scholars. So what changed?
Colonial era restructuring in the early 20th century altered the governance and education system across northern Nigeria.
Traditional institutions lost state support, urban migration accelerated, and economic pressure deepens. Over the time, communal welfare, and the network that sustained the Almajiri students became weak.
And what remained was the structure without sufficient protection. Reports indicate that millions of children in northern Nigeria are enrolled in informal Quranic learning system. Some students lived under responsible supervision and received structured instruction.
Others, however, face poverty, displacement, and neglect, forcing them into the street.
This distinction matters because not every Almajiri child is a beggar. Many are simply students pursuing religious education in modest circumstances.
Reducing the entire system to street begging risks misunderstanding of both its history and potential. Experts increasingly argue that the challenge is not Almajiranci itself, but regulation, child protection, and integration.
Successful reform efforts have focused on combining Quranic education with literacy, vocational skills, healthcare access, and formal schooling standards, preserving religious tradition while safeguarding children's welfare.
The real question facing Nigeria is not whether the system should exist, it is whether it can evolve. Can tradition and modern education work together?
Can communities, religious leaders, and government rebuild the protective structures that once defined the system? Because behind every label is a child, and behind many Almajiri students is not abandonment, but a search for knowledge.
The challenge now is ensuring that search lead not to the street, but to opportunity.
Into what is supposed to be a phone conversation due to some technical issues that we're not able to bring the phones in at this moment. Abubakar, let's further dissect some of these issues. You've seen some probably messages, replies on posts on the internet where people are saying this state police thing is going to be a sham and the state governors most probably would abuse it and all of that. And some people are raising the concerns that the state governors that are getting federal allocations and are not utilizing them properly. And even the president just recently said they should stop building flyovers and bridges or something like that. Do you think that the state governors would be able to finance state policing? Because it means it will go out of the federal government, maybe budgetary allocation or something like that.
Well, if they really have the political will to do that, I believe they can do it.
Political will? Yeah. For state government, that if you check their internally generated revenue, it's none to zero. So,
well, you know, it's all about like how ready and how willing they are. You know, most of them, they really want a kind of like a short-term plans that will at least sustain them for at least good 8 to 4 years. They don't want, because most Nigerians politicians allegedly, they don't used to think beyond 2027. But if they really have the political will to fight the problem of insecurity to the core, they can do that. We saw the likes of Governor Zulum of Borno State, how we have been doing enough. Because I come to realize an average Nigerian does not even care about how you are living as their own governor. They don't care whether you are living flamboyantly, as long as you can provide the basic necessity of the basic necessity of life. If they can do that, I believe that state police is going to be an advantage to them. But these are the people that they are even manipulating. Allegedly, they are using the federal police in order to win election. Recently, I think August 15th, or soon they are going to have their own election. We know how Governor Adeleke have been actually calling the IGP of police and even the president to intervene into what is going on. Because Governor Adeleke, he was in the PDP and he subsequently decamped to AA party due to what is currently going on in the PDP. Because some people are even accusing Minister Wiki of being an amphibious politician, one leg in APC and one leg in PDP. And the federal police have been trying to at least raise chaos in Osun State. We saw what exactly happened, even when what led to the official visit by Disu. He went to Osun and even have to intervene in what is currently going on. So I believe if our state governors will put on their own thinking caps and remember there is life after elections, I believe they can address the problem.
We've been on so
insecurity.
many trends around security in Nigeria, and people thinking most of the policies of the government, especially the federal government, on saying state police, doing some certain things most recently, is linked to 2027 general elections. Do you think signing this roadmap or making use of this roadmap would have like an impact on the 2027 general election?
Of course it has, because we already know
it will, or
it will impact the 2027 general election, either positively or negatively, either psychologically or politically. But let me speak on the political aspect of that. Maybe the ruling party will come and beat their own chest. We signed the state police. We even fast track the creation of security forest guard. We even increase the division. Maybe these are the kind of things that they may likely use it as their own campaign tool, or they may likely use it as a campaign gimmick to Nigerians. But that is the positive impact. But how about the negative impact that many Nigerians are afraid of? That maybe we know who is actually appointing the chairman of INEC. The chairman of INEC come from the presidency. Now the presidency have the INEC, they have the judiciary, they have the federal police, they also have the state police.
Right now, if the state police thing wasn't implemented before 2027, because a lot of people
is going to see the light of the day at all costs.
At all costs. By when? What ultimatum are you giving to that?
Before December.
Before December.
So
should we put money to that? So that if it doesn't see the light of the day before December, I'll be taking like $10K from you.
You know, as a political science student, we are actually bound to prediction, and my prediction may be right and it can also be wrong. But based on the analogy we see with the way the presidency is actually fast-tracking, the way even the 10th assembly, who Nigerians are accusing them as robust term assembly, they are fast-tracking the creation of state police. It may likely see the light of the day. And if the state police see the light of the day, many Nigerians are afraid there's going to be a new version of dictators among the state governors. There will be a time when we see the Yoweri Museveni of Uganda, Paul Biya of Cameroon, and Idi Amin Dada of Uganda among the state governors.
Oh, really? That's what you think. So quickly, again, let's talk about Momodu's take on the whole of the presidency. Show your scorecard, and that's what would get you maybe re-elected. But a lot of people are saying that, is there even opposition? If you say Tinubu should show scorecard, what would the opposition show? Because the PDP has been bickering about not returning to power, but then you can't see anything. Other political parties who we think would be the third force or second force and all of that are not coming up to people's expectations. Do you think that Tinubu's scorecard would make any difference in 2027 election? Because people say they are not seeing opposition. Even yesterday, we've discussed about this whole thing that there's probably no opposition if you look at the trajectory of other political parties in Nigeria. What do you think the scorecard would do?
You reminded me of what happened, I think, that was during the creation of the then strong political party in Africa, that was PDP. I think I could remember what Chief Solomon last year, Vincent Ogbulafo, Sullivan Chime, and the rest. They say that PDP is going to rule for 100 years, but subsequently PDP just ruled for 16 years. And you saw their own scorecard. They have been saying that they have been doing well. They are the one even that led to the foundation of most of the things Nigerians are really enjoying now. But subsequently, we saw how the incumbent presidency loses election. That was 2015, when they led to the government of APC came into power. And after that, Muhammadu Buhari did his 8 years and left. May his soul continue to rest in peace. And we just had the president, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu.
3 years plus.
3 years. When President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, you know, Tinubu is a kind of like a lion politician. A lion politician, those are the politicians that normally no matter how you are, if you are not with them, if you are among the opposition, they will find a way of silencing you, whether legally or illegally.
Is that allegedly, or because I need to understand where that is coming from?
He have been
lion politician. Who defined lion politician?
Yeah, I think I could remember I cannot remember the person that made the postulation, but there is a difference between we have lion politician and we have fox politician. The likes of Barack Obama, Ibrahim Donkombo, these are fox politicians that they are so simple, they can follow everything deep by deep. But when we say lion politician, these are the people that when they want something, they have to go all out. The likes of Konkoso, the likes of Danjuma Goje, and even the likes of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. These are the kind of lion politician. So President Bola Tinubu fall under that category. And you know, when they have been allegedly, they have been silencing the opposition. We know when they came into power, and now currently what we are experiencing, they have almost 30 to 31 governors that are currently under the ruling party, which subsequently they were from the opposition. And you know, when the government failed to deliver what it is expected to it went to the accusing and even chasing the opposition, victimizing the opposition. We know how they have been trying to victimize the former the incumbent governor of Zamfara state, who have been denied most of his basic district. These are all allegations. These are all allegations.
Because we need to make that clear.
And subsequently, he just went ahead and find what we call political asylum. He just later went ahead and joined them. We know what happened in Kano State when Governor Abba was in NNPP, and they have been they left them behind.
Those were all allegations.
Those are all allegations.
Let's quickly take a look at the concept.
Those are all allegations. I believe they are allegations. But if we are to be honest with ourselves, looking at the empirical evidence and empirical statistic that is going on, if we are to be honest, Nigeria is a multi-party democracy, and in a multi-party democracy, I believe opposition have the right and have the ability to do and undo.
Yes, especially when they're voted for in their opposition parties. And I just want us to shed a bit of more light on the concept of lion and fox politicians. It actually comes from Niccolo Machiavelli's book, The Prince, which states that a successful leader must combine the strength of a lion and the cunning of a fox. So there shouldn't be just one size fit all. A politician should be completely a lion or a fox. So the lion is brute force, uses power, dominance, and intimidation to rule. Defense frightens away direct threats like wolves, and style open, direct, hierarchical, and often conservative. The fox, on the other hand, cunning and deceit, relies on strategy, manipulation, and persuasion. Defense recognize hidden traps and avoid snares, and style flexible, diplomatic,
ways,
and deceptive when needed to maintain power. So you mean Barack Obama is partially deceptive?
Of course, we know how they have been trying to go into a kind of like diplomacy when they really want to at least achieve some of their own foreign policy and national interests. No matter how they may not confront you directly, they will find a diplomatic way, either by giving you aid, maybe either by giving you soft landing, or maybe either by coming into your state and say that we are going to fund these huge projects. So these are all features of
so there is a journal. Nigeria's journal is the name of the thing that described Nigeria's lions and foxes, the politics of power, and it was written by one Amina Adamu. Every election cycle in Nigeria reminds us that politics here is not just a contest of manifestos or personalities. It is a constant struggle between two kinds of political actors: the strong and the cunning, the enforcers and the negotiators, the lions and the foxes. So we should find a balance between the two. It shouldn't be just lion style completely and foxes style, because I believe that there are situations that you need to just employ maybe this side, and another situation to employ the other side.
But in democratic dispensation, I believe you have to be lenient to people, because these are the people that campaigned around the state of Nigerians, soliciting for our votes. Because if you are to be honest with ourselves, if you truly want to practice the ideology of democracy, the tenets of democracy, I believe by now most of the state governors, or even most of our leaders, they are not supposed to be in the position of what they are actually currently holding.
So you mean in our democratic dispensation, there is more of the lions ruling than the foxes?
Of course, and I stand to be corrected.
Thank you
I stand
so
to
much,
be corrected. Sorry, due to time. I think, with due respect, if we are to I also like refer myself as a student of political science. What we are practicing currently, we are not practicing democracy. Rather, we are practicing civil civil rule.
Civil rule?
Civil
Why,
rule,
what's
yeah.
the difference? I think that distinction should come in one of your political arenas, saying civil rule and democracy, the difference and all of that. And thank you for joining us on this newspaper review segment on Morning Digest. Still ahead, we step outside the studio to hear what Nigerians are saying on the streets.
Mob action, also known as jungle justice, has now become a troubling issue in Nigeria. While other people say it delivers instant justice, others say it fuels violence and lawlessness. We're here today to hear from Nigerians.
My opinion is that jungle justice is a very barbaric behavior. It's not to be encouraged in any way. You know, it's not the behavior of civilized society. It's totally wrong.
It's already an aberration, it's already a breach. Jungle justice, as the name implies, or by the way the action is being described, it's unacceptable. It shouldn't be encouraged at all in anywhere.
My take on jungle justice, I'm pro-against it. I don't support it.
Okay, for me, I totally condemn jungle justice. For real, I condemn it totally.
Well, I think people do that. Number one is poor upbringing, the way they are brought up. You know, they are not brought up to have self-control. People do it because they feel this must be done now. Immediate gratification. They don't delay gratification to say, okay, there's an alleged criminal here. Let's hand him over to law enforcement for proper investigation and let the law take its course. They feel they should do it by themselves. That's wrong.
Most people who carry out these jungle justice, they are also not pure themselves. But you see them carrying it based on emotion or based on the current state of the country. At the end of the day, we are all sinful. We all carry baggages on ourselves.
When somebody is being caught in the act, the proper thing to do is to take that person to the nearest police station.
And I feel like we have the right channel, the laws. We have also people enforcing these laws, which we can report to this case to. But I get like some people say that justice isn't properly served, but we can't take it into our hands. We should do it in the right channel and it should go. That way we are going to like bruise collectively as a country.
So when you are even developing laws and protocols for country performance, it is not from emotions. It's based on value system. You may be disappointed about the system, particularly in this country that you see that people are losing interest in institutions, government institutions, particularly those that have to do with justice.
There's a framework for the entire justice system, which God is at the apex of it all. So even if the judicial system or the justice system of a particular society is deficient, it still doesn't justify why people on the street should take laws into their hands to administer jungle justice. So give them the benefit of the doubt. Get the criminal, apprehend the criminal, restrain him, hand him over to the law enforcement. If they fail in their work, God is there to judge them. And God has different ways of addressing such issues. But as far as I know, as a pastor also, the wicked will never go unpunished. Even if the justice system of a particular society lets them go, they will never go unpunished. And anybody who justifies an evil person, who justifies a criminal, the person is also complicit. The person will also go in for it.
The opinions are divided, but one thing is clear. The debate reflects the growing concerns about security, justice, trust, and transparency in the system. I'm Khadija Muhammad, S24 Television.
Welcome to another edition of Political Arena here on S24 Television, where we discuss issues shaping Nigeria and beyond. Today, social media has become one of the most powerful, influential tools in modern democracy. It has transformed how citizens access information, participate in political debate, and monitor elections. It also helps citizens to curb misinformation, hate speech, and political propaganda. The big question is social media strengthening democracy or it is weakening it. To help us understand this our guest is Farida Salihu Lukman, Communication Officer Communication Officer from Center for Democracy and Development, CDD, West Africa. Farida, welcome to Political Arena here on S24 Television.
Thank you for having me.
So Farida, if I may ask you, the perception about social media these days is most Nigerians cannot do without social media. How true is that assertion?
How true is the assertion that most Nigerians cannot do without social media? Okay, I don't have the statistics to answer that question, but I will say that I think it's nuanced, because those of us who do have the privilege of being able to afford the data that requires to be online, there is a level of dependency on being online. Many of us now get our information not from traditional media, but from our
social media, within the comfort of your zone.
Exactly. But I guess the other side of the nuance is there's a large population of us who can't access phones, who don't have connectivity. So I like to think about it in that way too.
Thank you for that. Democracy thrives on informed citizen. How has social media changed democratic participation compared to 20 years ago?
Yeah. So like I said, those of us who do have access to smartphones, to social media, we're now increasingly getting our information, myself including, you know, like I find myself these days, when I'm looking for information, I know where some of the first places I go to are, you know.
Verified and legitimate pages.
Exactly. Yeah, so I would say that is one of the ways it has changed our landscape of political activism. You know, it's we're in a world, we're in a time of digital globalization specifically, you know, so we're more connected than we've ever been. We have access to information at the tip of our fingertips, you know, and that has helped things from, you know, political discourse, election monitoring, like you mentioned, you know, and even
hold the leaders accountable.
Exactly.
So during elections, millions of Nigerians rely solemnly on Facebook, X, TikToks, rather than traditional media. Is this a positive development?
Again, I love the word nuance, right? Because in many ways, there are the positives, but the other side of it is there's an inherent consciousness that we now have to have as consumers on these alternative media platforms, which is how do we verify the information that we are consuming?
Of what we see online.
Exactly. Now, because of social media, we're not just relying on traditional media. But the thing about traditional media is that there are processes in which and systems in place to make sure that what you're getting is credible, verified information.
Editorial fact-checked.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So now, as social media users, we inherently all have to become fact-checkers in a way, because we need to ensure that not only are we consuming verified information, but we're also not sharing information that are false.
Yeah. So what role has social media played in encouraging young Nigerians to participate in politics?
I mean, okay, so I think it's a beautiful thing, because you go online, the amount of young people that you see, that the frustration of just existing within the country has pushed to picking up their phones, setting up a tripod, and venting out their frustration. And I think that kind of activism or that kind of energy translates into a larger movement. You know, like I've been thinking a lot recently about what does organizing look like in this digital age. We're increasingly more and more moving beyond the traditional sense of it, in where you're looking for like a big organizing body to kind of rally people together. You see people organizing and coming together in comment sections, in timelines, in under people's videos, you know, where somebody is talking about something that's not just affecting them, but someone is listening to them and saying, I'm going through the same thing too. And dropping a comment and saying, what do we do? And that question alone, what do we do?
Matters.
I think exactly.
So like, has social media strengthened Nigeria's democracy?
In many ways, yes. But it has also, I think, shone a light on what the cracks of our democracy are as well. You know,
citizen journalism has exposed corruption and human rights abuse. How important is that in our contemporary political arrangements?
I think it's incredibly important. Especially when you live in a society where you feel like the traditional institutions that are supposed to either shed light on these things, hold perpetrators to account, or even just do the work that now people who have access to social media or just are concerned about these things are doing. When you feel like those systems have failed you, having access to a platform where your voice can be heard, that's a game changer, I think.
Okay, during elections, social media allows citizens to report incident in real time. How valuable is this protecting the electoral integrity?
Incredibly valuable, but again, nuance, right? I think that's going to be
it's two sides of the coin.
Yeah, it's exactly, because we have to also be very aware that there's a lot of misinformation, disinformation, hate speech, fake news. And the thing about fake news is that the nuance around it is that there could be something that has happened in the past, but someone is recycling it to kind of fit it. So it's important. It's great, especially for like things like monitoring the speed at which information can spread. Something is happening in real time, and you're able to raise awareness about it. But we also have to be really conscious about how we're using these tools.
Okay, can social media improve transparency in governance?
Yes, and I think we've seen examples about how this has happened, right? I think I was having a conversation sometime this week, and the example came up about how is it police inspectors or something like in the past? I can't really remember. I don't really have the details of it, but now we have police inspectors that are doing press statements and coming out to say, okay, these are the cases. It's not happening as frequently or as consistently as we would like, but it's a start, and it's a push in the right direction to see that, okay, a few people coming together, not just a few people, like many people complaining about something has brought about this kind of change where now we even have like EFCC has social media pages, like
that they are pushing out their things out.
Everybody is creating content now because you realize that social media is a platform in which you can reach people, you can reach a lot more people, you can sensitize, you can pass information. So I think it's great in that way that institutions are
hold accountable.
Yeah.
Okay, despite the benefit of social media, like misinformation spread rapidly online. How dangerous is that?
Incredibly dangerous. It's so dangerous. There have been incidents where misinformation can, or disinformation, or any kind of fake news can also translate into physical violence. It can translate into the importance of information and intelligence is that you are passing across something that is beneficial to people. The moment you weaponize that to push an agenda, it's
out.
And then it can be very dangerous, so, and that's why I think every time when I think about social media, I think of it in terms of the double-edged sword of it all. Like it has a lot of good, but in the sense that you can say that about anything. What matters is how are people using it. How are we engaging with it ethically? How are we making sure that we are not part of the problem and that we're using this tool that could be beneficial for us in a way that is changing our lives for the better?
Let's talk about like the presence of AI and how videos are coming out and how people are using AI in order to fabricate lies in order to win elections. Should Nigerians be worried about that ahead of 2027 general elections? Because if care is not taken, maybe one AI guru will just go and fabricate some fake result and push it to the people.
I like that you use the word AI guru. That's very interesting because in many ways, many young people, and maybe not isolated to young people alone.
Even the old one?
We're all becoming AI gurus in a way, right? AI is such a hot button topic these days. And we see the examples even ahead of the elections, even in like the off-cycle elections that are happening. You kind of see the way AI is being weaponized. So I think in addition to how we become fact checkers, we also need to educate ourselves in how to spot AI and the tools that we can use to kind of reverse engineer, like reverse search. Is this AI? Is this real? Because also, to shift it a little to like the gendered topic of it, there's a lot of the targeted gendered misinformation that AI now facilitates, especially to discourage women from coming out to participate in it, and it renders all of us vulnerable. And I think unless we look at it as a collective vulnerability, then we need to we start to educate ourselves and those around us, because I don't know, maybe I'm sure you've received a message or someone sent you something like, oh, look at this is incredible, like, can you imagine? You're like, this is so obviously AI, so we have to start educating those even
ourselves,
and even those in our circles, how do we spot that this is not real, or how do you even verify? Because the technology is scary. It's incredible.
Still talking about AI, hate speech often trend faster than actual information. Why do you think this is happening?
Because fake news, hate speech, misinformation, they aren't isolated things. They target biases. It's confirmation bias. And that's why it's almost like, okay, if you have a feeling about something and then someone shares information that's verifying this feeling that you have, you're going to be so quick to be like, look, see, I know what I was saying, like, look at the evidence, even without caring to verify if this evidence is real or not. So I think that's one of the ways in which, and also because of, like I said, the digital globalization, information travels
faster
than it ever has. And I think part of the nuance of it is also fake news is not a new thing, right? But it's because of the way information travels now that it's become such a thing that we have to pay attention to because of the rate in which it travels,
Okay, Farida, we are going on a short break. When we return, the conversation will continue.
Awesome.
Remember, you're watching Political Arena here on S24 Television. Let's go for a short break. When we return, the conversation will continue. Welcome back from that break. Remember, this is Political Arena here on S24 Television. Talking about fake news and how fake news is moving faster than the accurate information. How can citizens distinguish credible information from propaganda?
Okay, so I've kind of echoed it a bit in some of the things that I said. You have to verify, you have to verify, you have to verify.
Verification matters.
Verify before you share any information, whatever the source is. Like I was saying, agencies now have social media pages, so a verification could be as easy as going to the social media page, going to the websites to see if this information that has come to you to the tip of your fingers is real. Another way is like with fake pictures or AI generated images, there's Google reverse image search. You can put in the picture into the Google search and it will tell you where it originated from. And there are other such
checker.
Yeah, and a little shameless plug about the work that CDD does. We also, because we do a lot of election monitoring, but even outside of the elections, we do have a tool called the Check by Median, where you go on our website. You can, if you come across information that you're not sure about, because sometimes there's a limit to
certain information
as
an individual.
Exactly.
And
how much
certain
you can
information
verify.
You have to go somewhere before you verify
so
it.
You can always submit that information and then the team behind the scenes will look at it, reach out to our contacts, do the work of verifying wherever it is that you couldn't go past. And
talking about CDD, as the communication
results.
officer in CDD, what are you doing in order to, from your end, in order to tempt the spread of fake news in Nigeria's democracy?
So using the Check by Median tool. So when we get some of those, reports, and then we verify, we fact check it, we publish on the CDD fact check website. And there can be many verdicts from a claim is true, a claim is false, a claim is misleading, a claim is incorrect, because there's so many nuances to how misinformation can present itself, and even beyond that, particularly with election work, looking at the election landscape, the scene, what are kind of the narratives ahead of an election, and then trying to like sensitize people or just inform, because there's only so much you can do with information if it sits at your desk. You kind of have to disseminate it and make it available to people so that people have the power to make the decisions for themselves and do the right thing, essentially.
Well, talking about politics, we can't eschew women from participation in politics. Can online abuse discourage women and young people from participating in politics?
I love that I already kind of touched on this because I was thinking about, technology facilitated gender-based violence and how AI is becoming like a predominant tool in doing this, and it's one of the ways in which women are being discouraged from wanting to come out to participate in politics because, the fear of, and it's not just physical violence these days,
emotional violence,
like the trauma of it, someone with an AI tool can concoct some image to tarnish your image, and just because you dare to come out to want better for your country, for your constituency, to want to participate. But the thing about it is, because we're aware of it now, there's a lot of work being done, there's a lot of research around it, so awareness being created, and even with the threat of it, or the threat of the violence, or the trauma of whatever could happen, you still find that many women, young Nigerian women, still want to be part of the movement that pushes for a better, greater Nigeria for ourselves. Because at the end of the day, we are still Nigerians, and we want more for ourselves and for our country.
Okay, so looking ahead of 2027 general elections, what challenge should Nigerians expect regarding to social media?
Shine your eye. You have to be alert. You need to, going into it, know who your credible news sources are, where you're getting information. Be vigilant about the kind of information. Also, I think there's a level of awareness that needs to come into place in terms of identifying what our personal biases are, because we carry them. There's a lot of weight that we carry as Nigerians. There's a lot of trauma, and in the ways it manifests itself in very interesting ways, right? And these can be some of our biases. So being aware of what our biases are will also strengthen us in terms of not being so susceptible to misinformation that is targeting our specific biases. So like I said, shine your eye, be very vigilant, verify before you share. And
okay, so in your humble opinion, as a concerned Nigerian, so social media company bear more responsibility for political content that mislead people?
This is very tricky, right? Because I know it's a very contentious topic, platform monitoring and all of that. I think there's a role that they play, right? As a social media platform, you shouldn't be a safe space for people to come and display their bigotry, or you shouldn't be a safe space for misinformation or targeted information or hate speech to thrive on, because your platform should have regulations that protect your users, right? But I also think it shouldn't be left only to the platforms, because there's only so much that a platform can do, especially if it is used by billions of people around the world, right? So that's why I think I think there's a role that everyone plays, like institutions, the government itself, the platforms themselves, the users as well, we all have our role to play.
Okay, should government regulate social media, or will that threaten the freedom of expression?
Yeah, so like I said, I don't think it should be left to government alone, because that can also, like, you don't want to hand government the tool
all over. They can use it in their own advantage,
right? So it's, I think that's the beauty of checks and balances. There's systems in place to make sure that everyone is doing their work in a way that nobody's taking advantage of a system. So that's either from the platform to the government to the users. Everybody's playing their part and is aware of the role that they are playing.
Let's talk about Nigerians. Individual Nigerians, what practical step do you think Nigerians should take before sharing any content that they are not even sure of it?
I would say if you're not sure of it, don't share it.
At all costs.
If you are not sure of it, don't share it. If only share if you're sure, verify it before you share. You know, if information comes, if it's like a news thing, or even there's so many
platforms to check.
You know, there's so many, like, newspapers have social media platforms. Go websites.
Now everyone has social media.
Everybody
even
has
the presidency.
Yeah, so it could be tedious. It could slow you down a little bit. You know, yeah, everybody's quick to want to be the first to break the news.
Yeah,
you know, but think of the backlash if you break a news and it comes out that, like, oh, this is
integrity matters.
Exactly.
And the peace and the stability of our dear country matters more than any breaking news.
I couldn't have said it better. Yeah.
So how important is digital literacy in strengthening democracy? Because I believe there is no one that is not using smartphone now.
Okay, well, maybe saying there's no one. I mean, there are a few people who, because, like, again, access, right? The reality of our country is that even if people have access to smartphones, how many people can afford the data? Because it's
very expensive,
right? You know, but that said, digital literacy is very important, but it's only a piece of the puzzle. You know, we still need the traditional ways of
addressing that,
not just addressing, but educating voters.
Education people.
You know, because we need to meet people where they are, and yes, increasingly we are online. The demographic of people who are voting, people who have access to smartphones and data are online, but there are also people who are not online, and, like, how do we reach them? So I think it's a whole picture, and we can't look at one side of the picture and ignore the other bit as well. You know, so
please speak to me as Farida, a concerned Nigerian, with the level of preparedness within Nigerians ahead of 2027 general election. How prepared Nigerians are? Because it's really disturbing when you are having a kind of like a random conversation with Nigerians. Nigerians seem to lose hope. Apathy. Political apathy is high.
Yeah.
What can you say to them?
Okay, so as a young, concerned Nigerian, I will say, go get your PVC. Come out and vote. I understand the feeling of losing hope, disillusionment in the government, but this is our home. This is our country. And I always say, if you think your vote doesn't count, then why are people buying the votes? Why is vote trading a thing? And the more of us come out to exercise our
franchise,
our democratic franchise, the harder it is to silence or to take our voice away. And so we need our numbers. We need everyone who is of voting age to get a PVC, to come out and vote. The numbers do count, and the numbers do matter.
Farida, speak to me on the aspect of the way people are losing patriotism, and patriotism is one of the tool and instrument in building nation. Don't you think that Nigerians need to be more patriotic in achieving some of goals in our dear country?
You know, the irony is, right, and I don't know if some people are going to drag me, but I really think that Nigerians are some of the most patriotic people.
Right?
Including those who have left, who have jackpot, as they say.
Jackpot syndrome is obvious now.
There is a real brain drain happening in our country, but it's not from a place of people like not loving Nigeria. It's from a place of hopelessness and wanting more. It's more about survival, if anything, right? And even at the rate that people are leaving, you find that we see it every election cycle. The diaspora are very vocal online. You know, they are the ones even, and I think that's one of the things that we need to look into as a country. You know, being able to strengthen our institutions in a way that even Nigerians who are abroad can vote and exercise their franchise, because that is a big demographic, right? And like I was saying, Nigerians are very patriotic citizens, and we want more of our countries, and that hopelessness is coming from a place of wanting more and not necessarily seeing the more that you are hoping for. You know, so I would say
they should not lose hope.
Well, I mean, okay, yes, there is that. There's an element of not losing hope, but so many people have already lost hope. So what do you say to someone who has already lost hope, right? So that's kind of where I find myself feeling kind of sad, because what do you say to someone who has lost hope in a system or feels like the best solution for them is to go elsewhere?
Farida, due to time, before we call it a day, if you have the opportunity to meet Nigerian president, what reform will you suggest to him in addressing the problem of our dear country, Nigeria?
I don't want to get in over my head suggesting a particular reform, but I will say what needs to happen is listening to the concerns of the average Nigerian person. And I don't mean on the surface level that it is happening. I mean young people, women,
girls,
grassroots, the demographic that don't even have access to smartphones, you know. How do you bring all of these people together, listen to what the challenges are of the average Nigerian, and actually addressing, like putting policies in place that are addressing these concerns, you know? Because you hear the discourse and you hear that people say that, like, oh, some of these policies in 5-6 years are going to be amazing for the country, but the average Nigerian does not have 5-6 years. The average Nigerian is trying to survive today. So, you know, listening, I think, is the thing I would suggest, you know.
Okay, Farida, ahead of 2027 general elections, what are your calls to Nigerians in ensuring a credible election?
Get your PVC. Come out and vote, regardless of who you're voting for. Come out and vote. Get your PVC and come out and vote. I don't know if I get your PVC and come out and vote. That's like I'm begging at this point, right? The numbers matter. We need to come and exercise our votes. I understand the hopelessness. I understand the apathy, but this is our country and nobody's going to fix it for us. We need to take ownership and we need to hold leadership to account. And we can only do that if we have the numbers, right?
Thank you so much, Farida. It's really a pleasure having you here in Political Arena. And thank you so much for sharing your insight. And I believe with what you said to Nigerians are going to change the narrative ahead of 2027. Thank you so much for taking your time to speak to us here on S24 Political Arena.
Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
This is where we draw the curtain of Political Arena here on S24. Today's conversation reminds us that Nigerians should not lose hope. And ahead of 2027, there is a general possibility that Nigerians can change the narrative. As we heard from Farida, everyone should go out and get his or her own PVC and ensuring they elect credible leaders that will ensure the stability and the continuity of our dear country, Nigeria. Nigeria is the only country we have, and it is our duty to take all these decisive measures to make Nigeria a better place, governable, and a peaceful place for all. This has been Political Arena, and may God bless the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Thank you and bye for now.
What many are calling the first major opposition breakthrough, a coalition of Nigeria's disillusioned political bigwigs cutting across the PDP, former ministers and past governors, has adopted the African Democratic Congress ADC as its official vehicle to challenge Tinubu in 2027. Led by former Senate President David Mark as interim chairman and Rauf Areveshola as national secretary, the movement hopes to realign the soul of Nigeria's battered democracy. But the unveiling didn't go as planned. The hotel management at the initial venue the event was supposed to take place in Asokoro abruptly cancelled the event hours before it was scheduled to begin, citing an internal compliance matter. Media personality Dele Momodu called it what many fear it is: intimidation orchestrated by the ruling powers. Political analysts warned against subverting the will of the people either through silencing voices of reasoning or gagging the opposition, saying if the people's will gets subverted, it may lead to plunging the country into anarchy, and Nigeria doesn't need another war. It needs voters, brave, determined and conscious voters. Is ADC truly the third force Nigerians need, or just another gathering of recycled elites in new robes? Will this coalition finally give the people a real alternative, or it will crumble under the weight of familiar ambitions? Let's hear your thoughts in the comment section.
The death of Ali Khamenei marks a major turning point in global geopolitics, placing him among a group of world leaders whose rule ended through violence, military intervention, or targeted operations rather than peaceful political transition. Khamenei, who led Iran since 1989, spent decades confronting the United States and its allies over regional influence, sanctions, and Iran's nuclear ambitions. His reported killing in a foreign military strike reflects how geopolitical rivalry can escalate to the point where leadership itself becomes a strategic target. The fate of 7 leaders, in particular, illustrates how power struggles, ideological conflicts, and international intervention have repeatedly converged to end political reigns through force. In Libya, Muammar Gaddafi was killed on 20th October 2011 during the collapse of his regime in the Libyan civil war after NATO-backed airstrikes weakened his forces. His death ended more than 4 decades of rule but left Libya politically fragmented. In Iraq, Saddam Hussein lost power after the Iraq War. He was captured by U.S. forces and executed on 30th December 2006, closing a long and controversial era in Iraqi politics. Egypt experienced a dramatic political assassination when Anwar Sadat was killed on 6 October 1981 by Islamist militants during a military parade in Cairo, partly in reaction to his peace agreement with Israel. In West Africa, revolutionary leader Thomas Sankara was killed in a coup on 15 October 1987, ending a radical reform project that had begun only 4 years earlier. The early years of African independence saw a similar tragedy with Patrice Lumumba, who was executed on 17 January 1961 during a Cold War power struggle that involved both domestic rivals and foreign interests. More recently, Chad's longtime president, Idriss Deby, died on 20th April 2021 after being wounded while visiting troops fighting rebels in northern Chad, abruptly ending 3 decades of rule. Across different regions and decades, these cases reveal a critical reality of international politics. When geopolitical tensions escalate, leaders themselves can become central targets in the struggle for power. Their deaths rarely end the conflict surrounding them. Instead, they often trigger new instability, reshape regional politics, and leave lasting consequences for their countries and the global order.
If you're a Nigerian taxpayer, the rules just changed in a big way. Beginning in January 2026, the new tax laws will hit your wallet differently depending on how much you earn and, crucially, how much rent you pay. Gone are the days of consolidated relief and personal relief. These were automatic tax breaks that every worker used to get. From January 2026, Nigeria will instead offer rent relief. This means that 20% of your annual rent can be deducted from the total amount of tax you are supposed to pay. Here's how it works. So far as the 20% of your annual rent is not more than 500,000 naira, you get a 20% deduction from the total amount of tax you pay based on your rent. This tax break does not, however, apply to homeowners. If your rent is 1.5 million naira yearly, you get 300,000 naira in relief. That's 20% of your rent. But if you're paying 3 million naira rent, you still only get the maximum 500,000 relief, not the full 600,000 you might expect. The first 800,000 naira you earn is now completely tax-free, up from previous levels. This tax overhaul is designed to ease the burden on middle and lower income Nigerians while asking the wealthy to contribute more to national coffers. Whether you're celebrating or calculating how much more you'll pay, one thing is certain: Nigerian taxation just got a major makeover. And understanding these changes could save you thousands or cost you, depending on which side of the income divide you're on.
Thanks for staying with us and welcome to Top Trends, your number one stop for the top stories dominating headlines within and even around Nigeria. And I am your host for today, Gloria Atta. And joining me is my co-host, Khadija Muhammad.
Good morning, Gloria. I'm doing perfectly good.
Oh, I love the energy you are bringing to the studio.
Thank you. You know, yesterday I was like, I can't really wait to see Gloria for us to digest the whole social media trend.
Yes, and actually, before we even came online, before we came on set, we were already talking about some very interesting issues, and I can't wait to dissect them, just like you said. So let's quickly look at our first story. And this is a story that has sparked thousands of reactions on social media already. An ex-user identified as Miriam Ogbonna, she came online and she said, if you are too smart, you cannot have a successful relationship. And she went further in her words to say that you need to have a level of what she calls mumuness to be able to have a successful relationship.
This is serious.
So what do you think about that?
Well, basically she's trying to say you need to be, you have to be a mumu for you to have a successful relationship. That's serious. But if you ask me, I think I would say it's a two-way thing for me. So being a mumu in the aspect that you don't have to be a mumu to the extent that they will, treat you as rubbish. But you just need to have a little mumuness in order to have that, in order to have that agreement between you and your partner.
Yeah, I think just to give context as well, so people watching, when they say mumu in Nigerian parlance, it just means when maybe like you are a fool or you are dumb, like you have to just play dumb at some point.
Yeah, but the whole point is, as far as I'm concerned, in relationship, no matter how bad it is, you need to be smart about it, because you cannot, a relationship is actually between two partners, which in the sense that it's something like, okay, you have to agree with me in some point, and at some point I need to agree with you. But the truth is we cannot really agree on everything. So you need to be smart and you need to be a mumu at the same time.
But, why does somebody even have to play dumb? I don't think one has to play dumb because they're in love. Of course, I understand that there is room for compromise. If you love somebody, you have to maybe make a few sacrifices here, for example. But can you wake up by, because when they say someone is playing dumb, let me ask you this question.
Okay,
so can you wake up by, let's say, 3 a.m. to cook pounded yam and egusi soup?
That is not me, by the way. Love is sweet, actually, right? But waking up around 3 a.m. to pounded yam for my partner is something that I think that brings me to, in relationship, there's what we call understanding, right? And I believe if you're in a relationship, the truth is, I will always advise people, do not start what you cannot finish. You see this, do not start what you cannot finish. It is very important. In the sense that, let's say I have a partner now, right? And you just said 3 a.m. Maybe the first time, because of love, I started doing that, I started pounded yam for him 3 a.m. Trust me, it's something that I'll have to continue. I cannot just wake up one day and be like, no, me, I'm tired. I'll not do this again. So the whole point is, do not start what you cannot finish. You see that self-respect in relationship, I used to value it very well, no matter how complicated.
Political decamping is generally accepted. Why is politician massively decamping to the ruling party amidst political pandemonium? Is Nigeria becoming a one-party system? Let's find out from Nigerians.
Concerning the system of the massive decamping into a one political party system, in my own opinion, in my own view, I don't think that is a healthy system for stability in democracy.
One party system, if in an utopian society, will make a very wonderful system. But coming to Africa where we live, how we would behave, how we reason, I don't buy that idea that one party system can solve the problem of Nigeria, Africa at large.
We should have a system wherein if you decamp from a political party, you lose your seat. That will call for seriousness in the entire political system. For example, you see what is going on in the country, people leaving from one party to another just because if they join the party, they will have more favor with the ruling federal party. But that is not proper.
This is not a matter of political asylum. No. It's because of what the president is doing. You can see he's giving the state government more money, the local government more money, so that they'll be able to give back to the people. As you can see, people are joining our party today, the All Progressive Congress, APC, because our party is doing well.
It's like they want to form a one-party system by defecting to one party, which is the APC, which is not good.
The government of the executive and that of the legislative and judiciary, as they were designed, are to checkmate each other. But we are now in a situation where the legislative, when I say the legislative, the National Assembly, Red Chamber, Green Chamber, let's not forget that all these executive are on social contract by one philosophy of law called Oliver Wendell Holmes. He said that when somebody is being elected into a position, elected position, the person is on a social contract with the people that elected him.
There should be room for opposition. Opposition gives you room to become better. If you have someone who is opposing what you are doing and you think that person has a better prospect, it will give you the encouragement to do better in what you are already doing. We need to diversify in our political system, and that can only happen if we have an opposition party who is doing its best regardless of what the ruling party is doing.
Now, if the government forms one party system, meaning that whatever they decide to do, whether good or bad, they do it without a blink and everybody bears the brunt. So I don't think it's a good thing. Let's allow democracy to strive.
If you're just joining us, this is Top Trends on the Morning Digest on S24 Television. And me and my host, Khadija Mohammed, have been having a very interesting conversation, talking about, what people do to preserve their relationships these days. And let's just quickly summarize that conversation. So what would you advise couples that are in relationships today, because everybody is running away from not doing too much, so they would not be tagged as the Sims or as the Mumus in their relationship. So what advice would you give?
I think I believe one thing about relationship is communication with your partner, understanding yourself. Always, the point is you guys are in a relationship. That's why we call it the relationship, which means it's companionship between one or two or more people, right? So the whole point is understand who your partner is, and you also try to understand the person. The thing is, you both cannot be in the same shoes all the time. You have different perspective, different opinion, but the whole point is just try to understand who your partner is, and the person should also do the same thing to you. I think that way we'll have a lot of a peaceful relationship, and you don't have to be that mumu that we say to have a successful relationship.
But for me, I have an unpopular opinion.
Okay.
So this one is at viewers' discretion. Take the advice and use it as to whom it may concern. So for me, I believe that when you are in a relationship, a lot of things, anything you do that will make your relationship to work, do it. But there is a clause to that.
as long as your physical, your mental, and your emotional well-being is not paying the price.
Yeah, that's very
Please
important.
do it.
That's very
important. If serenading your partner with flowers, with songs, cooking for them is what makes you feel like you're expressing love to them, then by all means do it, and do not listen to what people say.
And do not also listen to social media love.
Yes, so social media love, social media relationship, because it is a crazy place.
Honestly.
So you have to be very careful about, what you're doing. So that is that for that. Like I said, viewers' discretion. So next, we are going to be looking at a second story, and this is quite a sad story. Kefi's widower, Teddy Don Momo, loses wife weeks after birth of first child. And the person we are talking about is Lara Kudayasi Don Momo, who is the wife of Teddy Momo, who is the widower of late gospel singer Kefi. She died barely 2 weeks after the couple welcomed their first child.
Wow.
Now, for a lot of people, or for people like me, this is quite nostalgic because I just seeing him in the news reminds me of the late gospel singer Kefi, who warmed our hearts. She was somebody I listened to growing up, and she was a very, very iconic musician. And it's just sad to see that the husband who was trying to move on, because he waited for 9 whole years after she died before he remarried, and unfortunately 2-3 years after, he's losing his second wife.
Yeah, so I think one thing, I think Kefi started her music career 2001, which of course I was 1 year old that time.
Wow.
So yeah, I wasn't really familiar with her. So growing up, there's this song which she sang with was it Timaya? Yes, I can't remember the song, but like there are some stories I heard about her that she was pregnant and she died. She died during before giving birth, right?
Yes, I think she had complications
that time. So it was really heartbroken, honestly. But then for Mr.
Teddy Momo.
Teddy Momo to, this sad news, honestly, it's something to, of course, he's actually, if I can use the word, a hero to so many people, even her too particularly, but that's how the world of, sometimes.
Yeah, that's just how life is.
Basically.
Yeah, sometimes you just can't explain certain things. But for me, this brings to fore another important conversation that I think we need to be having. Now, I'm not saying this is what led to the woman's demise, but this is just something I feel we need to talk about, which is the state of maternal health care in Nigeria and just generally around the world. I think we need to do better to ensure that more women are able to get the access to, the right health care and right post-natal care as well. Yes. For you?
Yeah, for me, I think, you see, one thing about the whole thing about maternity thing is that, there are some rural area whereby, honestly speaking, I think for her, I would say to some extent, let's say she has like an opportunity to have that kind of care, but maybe not the way she likes it, even though we did not really know what led to her death, right? So, but if you look at the maternity case now, let's talk about those rural areas who do not even have access to good health care system. So, those people, I don't know how to describe them, but I feel like there are people that need more, should I use the word help? In order to, because I feel like most of these grassroots people are the people that need important care from the government, the local government, and even within the family people at all. Yes, because most times you see that some of them do not even have knowledge on what to do when it comes to the from the pregnancy itself. They don't know. They just believe I will stay at home, right?
Yes.
And the husband will be like, you don't need to go to the hospital.
Yes.
We have Mama Diola who will come to you when you are giving birth. She's going to help you give birth. By the end of the day, she will end up using some substance like maybe razor that you don't even know. That's where complications started before you know HIV. And so there are so many cases when it comes to all this kind of thing. But honestly, those people in the grassroots, they believe that there's this word they like using in Nigeria, Nigerian blood. We can take anything.
Yes.
But honestly, I think,
dying.
do you get
Keep
that
dying,
phrase?
yes.
Like, we can take anything. Because like, is it not only mosquito that? It is not only. That's just the reality. So I feel like we should have that sensitivity of, we should learn how to get good, right information, and we should do the right thing, not always focusing on, I do not believe in going to the hospital, I do not believe a man should touch me, and all those things. So we should really do better.
So let's still go back to Kefi's widow as well. And there is something that is currently going on social media, and I think it's something that is worth talking about as well, which is the stigma that comes with losing a partner more than once. Now, over time, we've seen several instances where people have unfortunately lost their spouses because of one reason or the other. But then the Nigerian people, there is this stigma that comes with losing a spouse. If you've lost somebody once, the stigma is even
The death of Ali Khamenei marks a major turning point in global geopolitics, placing him among a group of world leaders whose rule ended through violence, military intervention, or targeted operations rather than peaceful political transition. Khamenei, who led Iran since 1989, spent decades confronting the United States and its allies over regional influence, sanctions, and Iran's nuclear ambitions. His reported killing in a foreign military strike reflects how geopolitical rivalry can escalate to the point where leadership itself becomes a strategic target. The fate of 7 leaders, in particular, illustrates how power struggles, ideological conflicts, and international intervention have repeatedly converged to end political reigns through force. In Libya, Muammar Gaddafi was killed on 20th October 2011 during the collapse of his regime in the Libyan civil war after NATO-backed airstrikes weakened his forces. His death ended more than 4 decades of rule but left Libya politically fragmented. In Iraq, Saddam Hussein lost power after the Iraq War. He was captured by U.S. forces and executed on 30th December 2006, closing a long and controversial era in Iraqi politics. Egypt experienced a dramatic political assassination when Anwar Sadat was killed on 6 October 1981 by Islamist militants during a military parade in Cairo, partly in reaction to his peace agreement with Israel. In West Africa, revolutionary leader Thomas Sankara was killed in a coup on 15 October 1987, ending a radical reform project that had begun only 4 years earlier. The early years of African independence saw a similar tragedy with Patrice Lumumba, who was executed on 17 January 1961 during a Cold War power struggle that involved both domestic rivals and foreign interests. More recently, Chad's longtime president, Idriss Deby, died on 20th April 2021 after being wounded while visiting troops fighting rebels in northern Chad, abruptly ending 3 decades of rule. Across different regions and decades, these cases reveal a critical reality of international politics. When geopolitical tensions escalate, leaders themselves can become central targets in the struggle for power. Their deaths rarely end the conflict surrounding them. Instead, they often trigger new instability, reshape regional politics, and leave lasting consequences for their countries and the global order.
One week, 7 days. In the long history of the Middle East, it's a heartbeat. But what happened starting on February 28, 2026 might have just rewritten the map forever.
It's no longer a shadow war or a proxy conflict. This is direct. This is Operation Epic Fury and Operation Lion's Roar, a coordinated strike by the US and Israel that has shattered decades of strategic norms.
The scale is staggering. Hundreds of sites across 14 Iranian cities, including Tehran, Isfahan, and Qom.
We aren't just talking about military depots, we are talking about the very heart of Iran's command leadership and ballistic infrastructure.
To understand how we got to this explosion, you have to look back at the slow burn, specifically the collapse of the 2015 JCPOA nuclear deal. When the US withdrew in 2018, the countdown started.
Tehran accelerated its enrichment and the Western capitals pivoted from containment to confrontation, and the fallout was immediate.
Within days, the unthinkable was reported: the death of Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei.
The longest-standing theocracy in the world just lost its central pillar. But Iran didn't go quiet. They struck back. Missiles and drones rained down on US bases and allied facilities across the Gulf.
Their axis of resistance networks in Iraq, Syria, and Lebanon have all been activated. And as always, it's the civilians paying the highest price.
Exactly. The numbers are grim. We are seeing hundreds of civilian casualties in Iran, but also deaths in the UAE, Bahrain, Kuwait, and Lebanon.
Children, expatriates, and international nationals caught in the crossfire. Even US service members have been lost in the chaos. Beyond the human cost, the world's economic jugular is being squeezed. The Strait of Hormuz is effectively closed.
20% of the world's petroleum passes through the narrow strip of water. Now, tanker traffic have flatlined and the global energy prices are in the vertical climb. Your local gas stations is feeling the tremor of a war thousands of miles away. This has forced a moment of truth for the region. The Gulf Cooperation Council nations like the UAE, Qatar, and Bahrain are distancing themselves from Tehran and leaning into even deeper security ties with Washington. Yet, through the smoke, there are still calls for a ceasefire.
Diplomats are working overtime, even as military analysts warn this conflict could turn into a campaign of months. This moment is about more than just battlefield updates. It's a test of global order.
In a world where energy, nuclear risk, and civilian lives are all interconnected, can a ceasefire this big stay contained?
Or are we just watching the sparks reshape the entire world?
So there is a lot of stigma that is associated with people who lose their spouses, especially more than once. So does that also apply in maybe your own part of the country?
Yeah, so I think the whole point, people believe, most people in Nigeria, you see, when we talk about, this one is even dead, whereby maybe you lost your first husband and then you'll be like, maybe they'll try to understand with you that, okay, yes, maybe
it's the first time,
yes,
it's
the time,
it's
do you get
time.
it? But the moment maybe you enter another marriage and you lost another husband, from there, the narration of everything will start changing.
In fact, they'll say you are the problem.
The first question will be like, are you sure everything is okay? That's the first question you hear. Then let's now come and even compare it to a divorcee. That one that the husband is not dead, she is not dead yet, yes. But let's say you are just a divorcee, but the whole point is, I feel like if your husband is even dead, like is dead, and the one that maybe a divorcee, if your husband is dead, it's somehow better than a divorcee.
Really, in northern Nigeria?
Yes, honestly. Because in northern part of Nigeria, if your husband is dead, yes, we believe in, yes, death is actually time, and if your time is actually over, definitely you are going. But you see this divorcee thing, most of the time, it's the woman's problem.
Yes. That's what is assumed.
Yes, that's what is assumed. It's the woman's problem. So, but then we also have this, stereotypes whereby if your first husband died and the second one died, so definitely there's this question: are you sure this woman is okay? So there are so many perspectives with people about you losing your husband. So you as a woman in particular, you can imagine you are grieving. Like if someone to ask you are grieving,
or just like Kathy's husband.
Yes, like you are grieving, asking questions. Yes, maybe you have something to do with your husband dead.
And do you think, as a woman, like, I want my husband, I would like to kill my husband, for what benefits? Or how then can we as a society, because this is also something that is, it's society are the ones who make laws, they are the ones who form culture. So how can we now try to start making people to unlearn this? Because in some families, some women, they will never allow their son marry somebody whose husband is dead, and vice versa. If you marry her, you are going to die too. You don't see what happened to her former husband. Something even like that. I remember a few years ago, I was much younger. I was, I think, like 23 years old or so. And then I met this person who was a widower at the time. And honestly, there were a lot of, the person wanted to marry me, and okay, a lot of questions were coming up. Okay, why is this person young and is already a widower and all of that? So there is a lot of stigma. We need to do better as a society. And that, you know, I think you asked a question like, how can we make people unlearn this? You see, the truth is, most of all this thing is, I can tell you, is a cultural norm that happens. Like, it's not for a literate person that goes to scuba. No matter how the circumstance is, you definitely see that gap. But you see, when it comes to like cultural norm, already if you are brought up in a cultural way in your family, and you know, there are some cultures, there's a way they see things, and believe me, there's nothing you say that will make you change their mindset. I think it can be changed. Every culture can be changed. Okay. The more we keep having conversations like this and letting people understand that life happens to people, and it is not a thing of, it's not something you have control over. You stated it earlier that nobody would intentionally sit and say, I want evil to happen to me. So as a society, we just need to do better to unlearn. So because of time, let's quickly talk about our last story for the day. Okay. So there's a video that is currently trending online. A thief was caught, and the villagers made him to start dancing for them. He was twerking, he was, I don't know if our MCR guys can even play that video for people to see. You know, he was twerking, they were pouring water on him. Yes. So now, public shaming of thieves or alleged thieves has become a theme in Nigeria right now. So I just want to hear your thoughts about it. Ms. Gloria, honestly, if you ask me this question, right, it's funny, honestly. Because personally, I think I would say it's even better to do that than to do like the jungle justice we normally see on social media. Because for this particular thief, I think, I will tell you he's lucky, honestly. Because he was just twerking and dancing for them. But they beat him up. Yeah, of course. They beat the hell out of him before that happened. Okay, yeah, but at least, you see, that, okay, the whole point is, I'm not trying to say taking justice into your hands is the right thing to do, right? Yes. But honestly, if you look at the Nigerian justice system right now, is more or less that if this particular thief now, maybe if they should call the policemen to come and carry him, I'm telling you, they will release him. That same day they gave police, they will release him that same day. So, for me, it's a bad thing to, you know, beat him and something like that. Of course, they're supposed to handed him over to the police to take justice and probably ask him what he did and stuff like that. Yes. But most of the times now, if you see what is happening, what thieves are really doing is they do the unthinkable thing that the way they hurt people. So already the people already have this, we cannot just give this person to the police. We should just take law into our hands before probably giving the person to the police. Because there's things that are happening, especially in Abuja, these people with bike. Yes. Do you know bike thieves now, what they do is, if they want to steal a bike, right? Yes. They use cutlass. They use cutlass to push you can imagine that kind of, so imagine that kind of thief is being caught by, let's say, the bike people. Do you think they are going to spare him? Do you really think they are going to make him dance? They will just try to kill him in that particular, because of course he tried to kill one of them. Yes. So there are instances that, if you ask me honestly, I would say is actually a wrong thing to take law into your hands. But at the same time, honestly, people are angry. They are furious. They are furious. Years back, I had just come to Abuja recently at the time.
And I went through a part of, you know, the outskirts of Abuja, the Maraba axis.
Yes.
And I saw, that was the first time in my life I was seeing somebody who was burnt alive. And I said, why did they do this? And I was about it that he's still a human being. He's still a human. Look at that. Exactly. That does not hurt you. You know understand. For them. Yes.
Yes. Yes. It's because maybe I'm not everything. I think something like that
last year. I can't remember the state, but a boy. He actually stole.
I can't really remember the state
like that. If you look at those things, honestly, there are some laws that you have to waive that you don't need to by yourself, because what I saw in that video was actually just fine. This boy, even though he definitely is hungry before he think of stealing that gari or something. Yes. But the they were using to cut the boy. I don't think. When I was watching that video, I was like, no, this is not supposed to, this is not how everything is supposed to happen. Because tell me what, like, stealing is a bad thing, no matter, in fact, even if it's just even if it's a pen that doesn't belong to you, it's stealing. But in some cases, we need to look at, we really need to just weigh before taking action. Yeah. So we need to reduce the level of, but for this what now in the process? Yes. Thank you so much. Wonderful time just having this conversation. But it's very important, just like you said, for us to all understand that we shouldn't take loss no matter the circumstances. And please, we shouldn't turn everything.
Monies don't go anywhere.
Nigeria is a country rich in culture and talent, yet many citizens are facing lack of unemployment, insecurity, and some economic hardship and uncertainty about the future. For many people, relocating abroad, popularly known as Japa, seems to be the only way out. Today, S24 is on the street asking Nigerians, is leaving the country the only way out? Let's find out from Nigerians.
If I have opportunity of leaving this country, I will leave immediately. I will not even consult anybody. I will just run away. Reason being that this one I'm living is not alive. A graduate of 2 degrees. Look at after NYC. Look at what I'm doing for a living. So it's not fair. But I thank God for now. I feel like to cry every day, but I don't know what to do.
I love Nigeria. I'm a patriotic citizen of Nigeria. But with the current system, if I have my opportunity, I will leave.
No, not at all. Because I believe that there are lots of opportunities for the youth in Nigeria. And also, I can't miss Nigerian food. And the weather here is better compared to certain weathers outside the country.
As a proud and patriotic Nigerian, I sincerely believe that Nigeria is the best place for me to live. I have deep love and loyalty for my country, and no level of opportunity elsewhere can make me abandon it.
Because of the lack of job opportunities that we have in our country, as you can see, we have many graduates, many young people that have already finished their school, but they don't have anything doing. So at least there are much opportunities outside countries, unlike our own country.
Let's go and make money. There's no money in Nigeria. We are suffering. And you know.
Because I feel probably life is more easier outside.
But if the system will work, believe me, Nigeria is the sweetest place to stay in the whole part of the world. You have your freedom, you have every other thing, but the money aspect, and we are living because of Mola, the change, the money. We need it.
If the government creates more jobs and the system favors everybody, especially the youths, would not go through that route to relocate.
They should come with a way that they're going to create more job opportunities for us at least, so that at least we should be self-reliant.
Even if I have the chance to travel abroad, it would only be for a short visit. Any opportunity, knowledge, or exposure I will bring back.
Do you know that not all Almajiri are beggars? When many Nigerians hear the word Almajiri, a familiar image often comes to mind. Young boys walking the city streets with bowls in their hands, asking strangers for food or money. But that image tells only part of a much older story.
The term al-Majri derived from the Arabic word al-Muhajir, meaning a seeker who lives home in pursuit of knowledge. For centuries across what is now the northern Nigeria, this represented a respected Islamic learning tradition.
Long before modern schooling system arrived, Quranic education formed the backbone of intellectual life across the Sokoto Caliphate. Young students traveled to study under learned scholars, known locally as Malamai.
Memorizing the Quran, learning ethics, jurisprudence, literacy, and community values. Historical record shows that this system was once operated within a strong social contract.
Communities provided food, shelter, and care for students as an act of charity and collective responsibility.
Many graduates became teachers, judges, administrators, leaders, and respected religious scholars. So what changed?
Colonial era restructuring in the early 20th century altered governance and education system across northern Nigeria.
Traditional institutions lost state support, urban migration accelerated, and economic pressure deepens. Over the time, communal welfare and the network that sustained the Almajiri students became weak.
And what remained was the structure without sufficient protection. Reports indicate that millions of children in northern Nigeria are enrolled in informal Quranic learning system. Some students lived under responsible supervision and received structured instruction.
Others, however, face poverty, displacement, and neglect, forcing them into the street.
This distinction matters because not every Almajiri child is a beggar. Many are simply students pursuing religious education in modest circumstances.
Reducing the entire system to street begging risks misunderstanding of both its history and potential. Experts increasingly argue that the challenge is not Almajiranci itself, but regulation, child protection, and integration.
Successful reform efforts have focused on combining Quranic education with literacy, vocational skills, healthcare access, and formal schooling standards, preserving religious tradition while safeguarding children's welfare.
The real question facing Nigeria is not whether the system should exist, it is whether it can evolve. Can tradition and modern education work together?
Can communities, religious leaders, and government rebuild the protective structures that once defined the system? Because behind every label is a child, and behind many Almajiri students is not abandonment, but a search for knowledge.
The challenge now is ensuring that search lead not to the street, but to opportunity.
What many are calling the first major opposition breakthrough, a coalition of Nigeria's disillusioned political bigwigs cutting across the PDP, former ministers and past governors, has adopted the African Democratic Congress ADC as its official vehicle to challenge Tinubu in 2027. Led by former Senate President David Mark as interim chairman and Rauf Areveshola as national secretary, the movement hopes to realign the soul of Nigeria's battered democracy. But the unveiling didn't go as planned. The hotel management at the initial venue the event was supposed to take place in Asokoro abruptly cancelled the event hours before it was scheduled to begin, citing an internal compliance matter. Media personality Dele Momodu called it what many fear it is: intimidation orchestrated by the ruling powers. Political analysts warned against subverting the will of the people either through silencing voices of reasoning or gagging the opposition, saying if the people's will gets subverted, it may lead to plunging the country into anarchy, and Nigeria doesn't need another war. It needs voters, brave, determined, and conscious voters. Is ADC truly the third force Nigerians need, or just another gathering of recycled elites in new robes? Will this coalition finally give the people a real alternative, or it will crumble under the weight of familiar ambitions? Let's hear your thoughts in the comment section.
Nigeria is a country rich in culture and talent, yet many citizens are facing lack of unemployment, insecurity, and some economic hardship and uncertainty about the future. For many people, relocating abroad, popularly known as Japa, seems to be the only way out. Today, S24 is on the street asking Nigerians, is leaving the country the only way out? Let's find out from Nigerians.
If I have opportunity of living this country, I will leave immediately. I will not even consult anybody. I will just run away. Reason being that this one I'm living is not alive. A graduate of 2 degrees. Look at after NYC. Look at what I'm doing for a living. So it's not fair. But I thank God for now. I feel like to cry every day, but I don't know what to do.
I love Nigeria. I'm a patriotic citizen of Nigeria. But with the current system, if I have my opportunity, I will leave.
No, not at all. Because I believe that there are lots of opportunities for the youth in Nigeria. And also, I can't miss Nigerian food. And the weather here is better compared to certain weathers outside the country.
As a proud and patriotic Nigerian, I sincerely believe that Nigeria is the best place for me to live. I have deep love and loyalty for my country, and no level of opportunity elsewhere can make me abandon it.
Because of the lack of job opportunities that we have in our country, as you can see, we have many graduates, many young people that have already finished their school, but they don't have anything doing. So at least there are much opportunities outside countries, unlike our own country.
Let's go and make money. There's no money in Nigeria. We are suffering. And you know.
Because I feel probably life is more easier outside.
But if the system will work, believe me, Nigeria is the sweetest place to stay in the whole part of the world. You have your freedom, you have every other thing, but the money aspect, and you know we are living because of the money, the change, the money. We need it.
If the government creates more jobs and the system favors everybody, especially the youths, would not go through that route to relocate.
They should come with a way that they're going to create more.
2026 represents a new standard. 2026 represents a new standard for Nigerian sport. We then discuss the Super Falcons' difficult start at the women's for Nigerian sport. We then discuss the Super Falcons' difficult start at the Women's African Cup of Nations and whether they can defend their title. And finally, we tell an incredible story from the World Cup of goalkeeper Vozinha, the goalkeeper whose World Cup journey has transformed his career. This is Sportdex, and joining me today are my colleagues Stephen and Olawale. My guys,
good morning.
How are you guys doing?
Thank you for having us, Gaspar. How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
I'm
Stephen?
Good.
Awesome.
Cool, good.
Awesome. So, we'll get right straight into it. The first headlines for today: FIFA Forward Enterprise, the future of football business. Football has always been a game driven by passion, but it has also been one of the biggest industry in the world. FIFA recently announced a plan to create a new commercial company with the aim of privatizing investments into the governing body. 20% of this new body created or proposed to be created were to be sold to private investors. But it has received a lot of backlashes from different football governing bodies, most especially from FIFA, CONCACAF, and the governing bodies from the Asian regions. What are your opinions on this matter and how this has developed?
Well, the FIFA Forward Enterprise is just basically a commercial avenue for FIFA to restructure their funding model. FIFA wants to make more money. But I think the whole policy was poorly consulted. Like you said, the other football governing bodies of other continents, like in Europe, UEFA, we have the Asian Federation, Confederation, and then we have, I think, in CONCACAF as well. So they are all saying that they do not buy into the idea, and they are looking at it from a sporting point of view. I mean, it is good to make money, but when you're opening up the sport that we all grew to love for private investors, so it's like you're also opening the sports for them to control the footballing parts, because it's very important for us to also consider these factors. So honestly, I think it's not a good policy to proceed with, and I'm very happy with the reactions that I've seen from other governing bodies, especially UEFA. They've been very vocal. They've been very vocal that they do not want it, and I really like that. I think thumbs up to them. It's different from the other reactions that we are seeing from CAF, that we are seeing from even NFF itself, because Ahmad Jupini granted an interview as a response to this, showing his solidarity to the idea. And if you want to criticize the interview he had, he basically was coming from a monetary point of view, because of the financial benefit it poses for Nigerian African sports in general. I think that is valid, but then we have to look at the effect it could have, because there were so many controversies in this 2026, this just concluded World Cup. That people were raising issues about cheating allegedly and all of that.
Political interference.
Yeah, so I don't think opening up our game to private investors is the right direction for us.
Stephen, what's your opinion on this?
He said something about the World Cup, which is very, very correct. People really said FIFA needs to be sanctioned during the whole World Cup game, because there were like a lot of like controversies. And coming from that point of view, I feel like they're trying to turn I don't know, there's World Cup.
Yeah.
There's Club World Cup.
Yeah.
Those are two different dimensions.
Yeah.
But I feel like FIFA is trying to open the gate to it to make money. Instead of them thinking about raising the standard, they believe they are the standard because they host one of the biggest tournaments in the world.
Yeah.
That's the FIFA World Cup. So they've seen themselves as the standard. So the finances need to come in. And they said there were a lot of controversies during the World Cup that FIFA were cheating or were like biased. They were like biased.
Yeah.
I'll be I'll be so correct to say yes, FIFA were like a bit biased, because you can tell me if you are like trying to put in like referees or people, officials to like officiate the match, you're putting like 5-8 officials from a particular country. Like sometimes I think about it and I'm like, nah, this is not it. If you want to, you have standards but having standards doesn't mean you can't still raise the standards. You can still raise the standards. There are levels to standards. Yeah. But I feel like FIFA just wants to I don't know. I feel like they want to corrupt football for me. That's like my own perspective, because you can't tell me this is the game all of us watch while growing up. A lot of us even practice this. We all have role models in the game. We have like the likes of Cristiano Ronaldo. We have the likes of Lionel Messi. We have people that we look up to in the world of football. So trying to take that kind of joy we grew up with and turn it into financial means or a way, because tell me, there's FIFA World Cup for males, there's FIFA World Cup for females, and there's Club World Cup.
Yeah.
Like, I'm still trying to see, and then I've seen a lot of things on the news, especially on Twitter, where a lot of coaches are saying that players need to rest. You cannot just finish a particular tournament and then, we just concluded UEFA Champions League. In like 2 weeks more, we entered the World Cup. Yeah. There was even friendlies before World Cup.
Yeah.
A lot of international friendlies happened before World Cup. And then there was now the World Cup. So players need to rest. They have their own recovery time. They need to recover. I don't think this football thing values the well-being of
Okay,
players.
so in your opinion, you are trying to say that FIFA already has enough competitions to generate enough revenue and don't need this so-called FIFA enterprise proposal they are coming up with to generate revenue to help develop football in like the in third world countries and other countries that are underdeveloped in the sport. Is that what you're trying to say?
Yes, sir, because when you said something about developed football, football is developed. Football is everywhere.
But there are certain countries that still struggle with facilities, having the appropriate facilities and all of that. So FIFA's point of view was they were coming from the standpoint that this fund, the private investors will be bringing in, would assist in supporting these countries in building pitches, getting equipment to train their athletes, to build up to the standards of like the top countries in the world currently. This was their own point of view. This was what they said the bill will bring as a benefit, you get. So don't you think that that point is valid from FIFA's angle?
From a revenue point of view, it is valid, and it is not also valid. So you said something about third world countries not having the proper infrastructure, not having what is needed, just like it is in Europe, just like it is in the United States and the developed countries. It is valid. We, as a continent, we need to grow our infrastructure. We need to have the best equipment so that we can compete on a global stage. Yes. Now, if we're talking about revenue, the question should be, is FIFA making enough money? And the answer is yes, they are. The 2026 FIFA World Cup, they broke their revenue targets. Yes. They made over $9 billion net profit. So in quotes, net profit. So that is enough to serve all the federations, if we want to be very honest. That figure is enough. So coming up with the FIFA Forward Enterprise, I just feel like it's just an attempt to show greed, like they want to make more money. And making more money in the context of sports is not appropriate, because that is not even the reason for this for the sport itself. That's not the goal behind football. Football is to unite us regardless of whatever country you are, regardless of your race, your religion. Football unites.
But football needs that money for development.
Yes, football needs money. Let me give you a practical example now. If you're selling equity to private investors, they certainly have interest. And when we talk about interest, you cannot trace how far it can go. Sure, you understand now. These players have certain endorsements with certain brands, and these brands are being financed by powerful people in international corporations. So let's assume these powerful people in international corporations are the private individuals buying this equity from FIFA. So do you think that they will not be lobbying and pushing for the interest of their players? So look at it from that angle. So if you're sponsoring FIFA, it means that you have ownership to the sport, you have ownership to the tournaments in a way, because it is those tournaments that is giving them the commercial value we're talking about. Yeah, so they can as well, within their capacity as investors, influence the sport. Okay, and so this is what we do not want.
This point brings me now to my next question. So the second reason UEFA raised for going against the proposal was the fact that FIFA bypassed a lot of these football governing bodies to go ahead and plan the whole proposal, and just came out of nowhere with the proposal last week. That was one of the points they made to go against the proposal. Do you think if FIFA had asked for their permission or involved these governing bodies right from the beginning, do you think this proposal would have been a success? Do you think the proposal would have gone through?
Well, I think so. I mean, like, if you want to implement policies, even from the formulation stage, you should engage stakeholders. And UEFA, for example, is a very relevant stakeholder when we talk about football, because aside from FIFA, we have the Champions League, we have the top 5 most competitive league in football.
Even European League.
Yes, so Europa as well. So if you're leaving them out in making that critical situation. And then you know that UEFA has more than 50 countries under them.
55.
So, yes.
55 members.
Yes. So now that is even numbers when it comes to like voting for you to implement this policy. So you cannot leave them out.
Stephen, do you think the proposal would have gotten to the limelight if UEFA and CONCACAF and CAF were involved from the onset?
I feel like to bypass that kind of situation, you have to be doing something tricky. You have to. So for me, it could have gone, and at the same time, it could not have gone. It could have gone in the sense that if they did it the right way, it should definitely go through. But if they are trying to be shady or tricky, then I will have said they will have sanctioned it. They will have to, even from the first stage of where it was going through, they will have sanctioned it. Look at UEFA, for instance. You know, you say something about UEFA. UEFA has Champions League, they have Europa League, and they have where the two champions of UEFA League, Champions League and Europa League come together and play. That's the Super Cup, which is happening very soon.
Yeah.
Those are like, you can see the old this thing. So I feel like for FIFA are just trying to, they feel like, no, it's FIFA now. Everybody's a FIFA.
Like they want to impose their presence.
Their presence is there. Everybody already knows of FIFA. I feel like it will reach a point where FIFA will turn World Cup. I'm just saying you can reach a point where FIFA can just say World Cup is no more for 4 years now. It's now to 2 years. It can get to that point.
Yes, if this policy is being pushed, because it is about the money, and they may not even want to even wait for the next 4 years. Since we can cash in the next 2 years, let's make it like a regular occurrence.
And we've been seeing a lot of changes in regards to the amount of teams playing in the World Cup. They're even proposing
more teams, more countries coming
to generate more revenue and all of that.
Remember that tickets issue when World Cup was going on? The whole tickets price slashing, everything.
Yes.
The whole situation, that whole situation. I feel like now, as someone like, if I want to say, I'll say people should now pay attention to this Women World Cup coming up in 2027. I will now say we can now compare between when we all watched the men's zone for June, July. Now let's watch the women's zone and let's differentiate the way it's governed, the way it's played, and each game sequence, how it's played, and there are a lot of like backlashes of cheating and everything. We'll look at it and then we'll not differentiate so that we will be able to say, okay, this is where the problem is, or this is where the problem is coming from. You get? So for me, I'm not going to say FIFA. Let's
just leave it at that.
So for a quick one, you are against the proposal. You are against the proposal.
Yes, I'm solidly against the proposal. Let's leave it at that.
Let's just leave it like that.
Okay. We've been enjoying the conversation so far. We'll be going for a short break. I'll be back shortly. Welcome back from that short break. We'll now be moving on to our next story, which with headlines, Team Nigeria, was Glasgow 2026 a turning point for the team? Team Nigeria returned from Glasgow 2026 with a performance that has sparked a new conversation about the future of sports in Nigeria. The team finished as Africa's highest ranked team, claiming 7th place overall with 24 medals, consisting of 10 gold, 7 silver, and 7 bronze. This wasn't an improvement in terms of medal count from the last event, but considering the amount of games that were played in the current Commonwealth Games that just ended, it was reduced from 20 to 10 games.
Okay.
And during the last Commonwealth Games, Nigeria came out with, I think, 12 gold, 10 silver, and about 9 bronze or so.
Okay.
Yeah, that was the medal tally we had. Comparing it to what we've seen in Glasgow, what are your opinions? Because with Glasgow, we had less games, less sports, and we can actually say that it was more efficient in terms of the amount of medals we won compared to that of 2022. What are your opinions on that?
Well, on an average, I think we did better.
Okay.
You mentioned now that the number of games were reduced from 20 to 10.
10, yes.
And this time around, the the medal count is 24. I think for gold we had 10, for silver we had 7, for bronze we had 7 also. That's making 24. So we did well. We did well, and we had some of our athletes that stood out. We had someone like Samuel Ogazi, who broke a national record in the games. I think he's the first person to have gold medals for the 400-meter race.
Yes.
And then we have our well-known star, Toby Amuson. She came with bronze. And then she kind of like had a setback in the final race, where I think she had an obstruction from one of the hurdles that disrupted her momentum. But we actually expected more because of our reputation, but it's one of those things that happen in sports, and I think we should appreciate them, because regardless of the points that the games were reduced, they still gave their best. And in terms of African ranking, we came first. Yeah. So kudos to Team Nigeria. They just concluded Commonwealth Games in Glasgow.
Stephen, what's your opinion on their performance?
To be honest, I'm very, very proud of Nigeria, because I won't say I really followed through, but I saw news and I saw this thing Nigeria really tried in that Commonwealth aspect. Sport is everything. You showcase what you have, you do what you got to do, and seeing you compete at the biggest stage, no matter how little a competition is, the win is the most important thing. And I feel like Nigeria did their best. I would say kudos to Nigeria, congratulations. A win for Nigeria is a win for all. So I would say congratulations to Nigeria. And I feel like in the next Commonwealth, we will do better. Based on this performance, and Toby Amusha, I've been following up with Toby Amusha, and I'm super proud of her. She's amazing. And I believe that we will do better. And I'm proud to say that we are developing in the area of sports in general. Nigeria is really, really dominating in the area of sport. I really like it.
In terms of efficiency, don't you think our performance in this year's Commonwealth was way better than that of 2022? Given that we had less sports, and looking at it, 10 gold compared to 12 gold in the last Commonwealth Games, with 20 games and 20 sports and 10 sports now. Don't you think we're more efficient and our performance was much, much more better than?
Yeah, I think we did well, and we should be giving kudos to the leadership of the National Sports Commission.
Okay.
I saw some pictures at the beginning where the chairman went to speak to these athletes, encouraged them, and then they fulfilled all the promises to these athletes. And I feel like that's the moral support we're talking about that aids this efficiency. And in terms of the support that the athletes received, I think it aided their performance, and we can see from the results, having 10 gold is not an easy feat in today's sport. So they were really efficient. So kudos to them.
So I say inspiring. I think I use that word, inspiring.
Yeah, very, very inspiring.
Very inspiring.
They represented us well. As Nigerians, you feel proud that your country participated in these games, and
they
did well.
They did well. Yes. Yeah, so.
Well, we are glad they made us proud on the international stage. Moving on from that story, we head over to the Super Falcons, who have not been so, I would say, efficient on the African stage. They haven't been, I would not say they haven't been making us proud, but compared to what we know, or compared to what we have seen in years back, their performances so far has been below bar. So they started their Women's African Cup of Nations title defense sometime last week with a defeat to debutants Malawi, before bouncing back to defeat Zambia by 1-0. What can you say about these performances so far in the two games?
Yeah, underwhelming.
From the Super.
I'm going to be very honest. Underwhelming. When it comes to African football, Nigeria is the big name.
Yes.
With big players. If you look at the profile of our players, where they are playing for, the countries, the clubs they're representing, top clubs all over the world. And it reflects in their quality. So what they've done this tournament has not been impressive. I mean, we had the defending champions, and we're losing to debutants that are obviously inexperienced, and it was an underwhelming performance to watch. Personally, I watched that game, and I saw how we lost the game. I could not see the hunger in the players. It seems like they were too confident. So overconfidence is an issue in sports, and even in their comeback win against Zambia, it was also underwhelming, because for a long period of time they had to like suffer in that game. They had a red card. They didn't show like the regular swagger that we know our women for. They thump teams, they win teams with high goal margins. Yes, the trash team. So we're not seeing what we're used to. So could it be that is overconfidence, or the planning was not enough, or maybe African women football is already improving
to a certain
so yeah, it's already improving to that stage that it's becoming very competitive now.
I mean, the games have been very impressive. I watched the likes of Morocco play, and the likes of Cote d'Ivoire. Their ladies were like really impressive. It was an upgrade from what we've seen in the past years. Stephen?
I don't know, for the Super Falcons and the way they've been playing, I've been thinking, I've been reviewing. Is the problem from the players, or from the coach, or from the body? Like, we can play. The women can play. Yes. I've seen them play. They are fighters. That's the name I'm going to give them. So I feel like what is going on right now is it an internal problem, or is a problem from the players? Are they not giving in their best? Because, you have to give in your best. You have to give in everything it takes to achieve success. So are they not giving in their best? Are they just trying to, or are they even trying to like downcast the game, or they just want to play the way they like? You said Morocco. Morocco is a very strong contender, both in the male aspect and the female aspect. Yeah. They are very, very strong contender. So if the men are playing the way they play and the women are playing the way they play, what's up with Nigeria? Why are the women? We're the defending champions. So what's going on? I feel like
capacity.
Maybe there's an internal problem. Is it the coach? If there's a problem inside, it's going to affect the outside. In the sense that if there's a problem inside the federation or inside the ODST, it will affect how the players are going to react on the field. So I feel like if it's a problem they want to deal with internally, they can do it. There's still time for, I don't know if there's still time for an improvement or adjustments, but I feel like they should do better. I don't want to say they can do better. I feel like they should do better. So they should iron out whatever this thing is. They are not only representing themselves, they're representing the country, Nigeria. So I feel like they should try and put in, even if it's an atom of their best, they should try and put in something.
So there were concerns raised by fans online, especially on X, about the coach's tactics. Concerns that the tactics do not fit the players, he's playing players out of positions and all of that. Do you think that has an impact?
Yes, if that's how they are playing, it is, because they need to.
But remember, this coach has been the one that has been in charge. Even when they won the trophy last year, he was the one in charge.
You can be in charge of every competition and win every game, and then the next season you can lose all the games. It's football. Anything can happen. You can't predict. You can only play and compete. You get? So if I feel like for the women, they need to iron out whatever is going on. If you see, I can tell you, there's one thing they call overconfidence. If you're confident that you've won something before, you get that confidence that you can win it again. Yeah. But you need to battle that confidence. You need to come in as a competitor. Not come in to compete. Don't come in to say you are a defending champion. Because you have the trophy before doesn't mean you can have it again. So just come and compete. Don't come and defend. Don't come and defend that title. Come and compete again for that title. So I feel like Nigerians are trying to defend for that title. But other countries are competing. Other African countries are competing. If other African countries are competing and you're coming to defend, you can't win. You can't win.
So we should be more aggressive. The
We should
ladies
be
should
more-
be more aggressive.
Yeah, yes, no. I remember the likes of Asisa
Oshola is still in the team. In fact, she scored that winning goal in the last game.
I influenced, Barcelona at that time. I was like, this girl is big. Like, I've seen her. And then, what's going on right now?
You still have those legs.
Yes, we have to also consider the age factor.
Yes,
exactly. She's now moving towards the ending part of her career. She's not as fast as she used to be.
Yeah.
She's not as feared as she used to be. So, I mean, like, she's still one of our key players. She's not, her role is no longer as dominant as it used to be. So we have to also realize that maybe it's a wake-up call for us to look into our pool of talent and bring new names with lots of hunger, because it's apparent as if the present ones have already succeeded. Yes, so we need people who are hungry, people who are looking to make name.
Hopefully, we hope they make us proud. They have their last group game coming up ahead against Egypt, and they'll be hoping to make it to the knockout round. We hope our ladies are able to make us proud on the African stage once again.
As in Nigeria, I wish them all the best.
So, thank you, Stephen. So moving on to our last story. This is a story of how football can change a man's life in a matter of days. We are talking about the Cape Verdean goalkeeper Vozinha, who was a nobody. I can say was a nobody coming into the World Cup, but all of a sudden, with impressive performance against Spain, an excellent performance against the defending champions Argentina, we saw his social media followers skyrocket from about 50,000 to over 32 million or so, right? And his influence leading up to him even signing a professional, he was a free agent coming into the World Cup, and currently, as at yesterday, he just completed his signing to Chile's side Colo Colo. Yes. What do you think about this story? These are the stories we've seen in different World Cups dating back to 2022 when Emiliano Martinez of Argentina came out from nowhere. What do you make of this kind of story?
I would say it's a typical Nigeria's grass to grace story. I mean, look at his life before the World Cup. Like you said, he had less than 50,000 followers, and after the World Cup, millions of followers. That has opened him to deals. That's literally changed his life. Before the World Cup, he was not able to cater for the traveling cost to bring his mother. So this is someone who had nothing. And there's something inspiring about his story. He's 40 years old. And starting at 40, getting a professional contract at 40. Not starting, but coming into the limelight at 40. At 40.
That's a big achievement.
That's a big achievement. And it's a story that reflects his resilience. It's a story that reflects his character. I mean, look at what they did against Spain. He had a very fantastic match, seven shots on target, saved. And they were the only team that the eventual winners of the tournament could not score against.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah, and who was behind all of that? Vozinha. So kudos to him. I'm very happy that he's finally got the recognition that he deserves. And
Stephen,
do you see the fan welcome he got? Like, I would when I saw you, like, damn, man, this guy is big. Like, he really made an improvement. So that's what I'm going to tell you. Say, when it comes to achievements, it doesn't matter. For someone to do it at the age of 40, that doesn't mean nobody can do it. So he came into the limelight at that age, and that was what happened. If I take you to the story of James Rodriguez, if you remember James Rodriguez, it was during that World Cup in 2018 that Madrid noticed him and signed him. So that's why I say, and your impression in a particular tournament can bring you to the limelight. Saves from a goalkeeper brought him this kind of recognition. See people, we see the World Cup and the gestures he's receiving all over social. As I checked my Twitter today, I was like, this guy's story is everywhere. It's everywhere. So I'm really very impressed, and it's giving me this glimpse of hope that anybody can achieve it.
Yes.
You just need to put in that hard work, and when you tally your hard work to whatever you're doing, trust me, the achievement is waiting for you in front.
Definitely.
I think this is the kind of stories that makes us really interested in watching the World Cup, because you get to see stories like this happen over and over and over again. You get, so it's been an interesting journey. It's been an interesting journey for him.
Yes.
If you were to give him an advice, he's 40, so he probably does not have much time on his side in terms of age.
Yes, sir.
What would your advice to him be?
I would say make the most of what he's got. Try getting a coaching license. Football doesn't stop when you stop playing. There are lots of contributions. We've seen past players come back into the game as coaches, leading their countries, leading clubs, and making history. So the fact that he got the recognition late does not stop the progression of this beautiful story that we are seeing. So he should make the most of what he's got and have a clear plan after his career. And I think he will do just good.
Steven?
I believe it's good to achieve a lot with this new team he just signed under, because the warm welcome, and I just feel like if he can't keep up to his performance at the World Cup was good, but he can still improve it. So I feel like joining this new team can help him improve it, but he has his age, he's 40. You know, Ronaldo is 40 or 40 plus,
41,
and he's still playing, he still has that agility to play. So I feel like if he's 40 and he has that agility and that ability and to play, he will achieve it.
For a goalkeeper, I don't think it's
in one
easier.
season. Is this ever because you know they are situated at one particular position as a goalkeeper, but other players run around the field. So I feel like in a season he will achieve something. Let's try for the team he just signed up for. Kolo.
That's interesting. I believe he's an inspiration to millions of children around the world. It's been an interesting and amazing story for him. It's been amazing having this discussion with you guys. I'm happy that we are able to do this today. And with that, we will be coming to the end of our very first edition of Sports Decks right here on S24 Television. Remember that sport is not only about what is happening, but about why it's happened. And with that, we'll be signing out. Remember, I am Udokan God's Power, and this has been Sport Decks.
Political decamping is generally accepted. Why is politician massively decamping to the ruling party amidst political pandemonium? Is Nigeria becoming a one-party system? Let's find out from Nigerians.
Concerning the system of the massive decamping into a one political party system, in my own opinion, I think that is a healthy system for stability in democracy.
One party system, if in an utopian society, will make a very wonderful system. But coming to Africa where we live, how we behave, how we reason, I don't buy that idea that one party system can solve the problem of Nigeria, Africa at large.
We should have a system wherein if you decamp from a political party, you lose your seat. That will call for seriousness in the entire political system. For example, you see what is going on in the country, people leaving from one party to another just because if they join the party, they will have more favor with the ruling federal party. But that is not proper.
This is not a matter of political asylum. No. It's because of what the president is doing. You can see he's giving the state government more money, the local government more money, so that they'll be able to give back to the people. As you can see, people are joining our party today, the All Progressive Congress, APC, because our party is doing well.
It's like they want to form a one-party system by defecting to one party, which is the APC, which is not good.
The government of the executive and that of the legislative and judiciary, as they were designed, are to checkmate the checkmate each other. But we are now in a situation where the legislative, when I say the legislative, the National Assembly, Red Chamber, Green Chamber, let's not forget that all these executive are on social contract by one philosophy of law called Oliver Wendell Holmes. He said that when somebody is being elected into a position, elected position, the person is on a social contract with the people that elected him.
There should be room for opposition. Opposition gives you room to become better. If you have someone who is opposing what you are doing and you think that person has a better prospect, it will give you the encouragement to do better in what you are already doing. We need to diversify in our political system, and that can only happen if we have an opposition party who is doing its best regardless of what the ruling party is doing.
Now, if the government forms one party system, meaning that whatever they decide to do, whether good or bad, they do it without a blink, and everybody bears the brunt. So I don't think it's a good thing. Let's allow democracy to strive.
And that's a wrap. Thank you for spending your morning with us. From our newspaper review team, Political Arena, Top Trends, the Sports Desk, our producers and the entire technical crew, thank you for watching. And join us again tomorrow for another edition of S24 Morning Digest. I am Halima Abdurraouf. Have a productive day. Stay informed and stay safe. And bye for now.
In 1951, Mossadegh became Iran's prime minister and pushed to nationalize Iran's oil industry, which had been controlled by the British company Anglo-Iranian Oil Company. The overthrow of Mohammad Mossadegh in 1953 Iranian coup d'etat created a deep and lasting distrust of Western powers inside Iran. Many Iranians believe the United States and Britain removed a democratically elected leader to protect oil interests, which later strengthened anti-Western sentiments and contributed to the rise of the Islamic Republic after the Iranian Revolution. That historical memory still shapes politics today. Iran's leaders often frame current tensions with the United States and Israel as another attempt by foreign powers to control or weaken the country. Recent protests, government crackdowns, and the ongoing military confrontation with the US and Israel show how Iran remains trapped in a cycle of internal unrest and external conflict rooted partly in the legacy of 1953. In short, the Mossadegh coup did not just change Iran in 1953. It shaped the mistrust and geopolitical tensions that still define Iran's situation today.